what's up, everybody? You already know who this is. It's your girl Romunda with the D. I'll come by way of what? You already know what I do. That is the thing, y'all. Y'all know we are back by popular demand. And guess what? We are back in a full force of bringing you awesome information, great opportunities. We are back, y'all, hotter than ever and sexier than ever. Yes, look. Yep. Yes, we are here. That's what we do. We bring it all to the plate. So also, we want to bring y'all some good update news as well. That we want to thank one of our partners that was with us for a minute, Miss Sonia. We want to thank her for hanging out with us, and she's going to do her little thing and move on to other things. But we're going to miss her so much, truly. But guess what? She's always in our hearts, and we really appreciate her for all the time that she hung out at with us here at Red Hot Topics, y'all. And the news that she was bringing in, her energy and her flow, her beauty. We are so ever thankful for her, and we sending her much love. So she's just going on to do other things, but anytime she want to pop in, she already knows she have a place with us here. So, guess what? We're gonna keep it going because I got my girl with me anyway, all the way from Martha's Vineyard. And we got some topics for y'all tonight with the hot pocket, not the fat pockets, but the hot pockets. And the hot pockets might have caused the fat pockets. We don't know what's going on, but we're gonna go with the flow. But anyhow, we're gonna take it to the next level. Let's talk about it tonight. What are we going to talk about, y'all? Hot fat pockets? Fat
Yeah,
pockets.
I mean,
We're going to talk about fat
hot
pockets.
pockets, like the food, that the stuff that they eat, or the fat pocket. I
The
don't know.
fat pockets.
We're gonna
And
talk about.
hopefully the hot pockets don't cause the fat pockets.
Oh yeah, they do. That's why I was wondering, should we talk about the hot pockets? There's so many things that causes fat pockets. So
Yeah,
we're not
yeah.
on the hot pockets tonight. Let's just talk about fat
Fat
pockets.
pockets. Gotcha.
And fat pockets are caused by so many things. So first, let's talk about what is a fat pocket.
Yeah,
So
Doc, tell me
a
what is
fat,
a fat pocket
you
because
know,
that is a hot name because most people don't even realize like what is a fat pocket, or hot fat pocket, but a fat pocket is cool too. Explain to us what a fat pocket is.
it's we clump it into this one name, fat pocket. But you've heard of the medical name. It may be lymphedema, or it could be lymphedema, or it could
Mm,
be cellulite. I mean, there are these medical fancy names for it, but I just want to call it fat pocket because at the end of the day, no matter what we call it, it's fat, trapped fat
I'm
in
with
the tissues, okay? And if
you.
you
Yeah.
was to ever see it, it looks like fat, and it's white and cheesy and toxic. And sometimes if you ever look at TV and you all saw a surgery or something and they go in between the skin and they suck that fat out, you're gonna
Yeah.
see that it just looks horrible. So this is trapped fat underneath the skin. And, a lot of things cause it, and there's a lot of things that can help it. But at the end of the day, you can see fat pockets. Like, I'll never forget, I too sometimes can say things that are hurtful, but not meaning to, right? And I remember this lady, she was sitting there and she had on her thighs a lot of fat pockets. And I'm talking to her about how she can do the cellulite treatment, and you can rub this scrub on, and you can, put this girdle on, and all of these things you can do. You don't have to opt in for surgery first. But she kept saying to me, Doc, but it's painful. And I wasn't listening to her as she kept telling me these hot pockets, fat pockets were painful. And I thought that was so insensitive of me. So I had to go research it and look it up. What really is a fat pocket? And it's a serious condition because basically the lymphedema or the lymphedema, it's very painful. It's a lot of inflammation and it burns. And I don't know if you ever noticed, but if you have fat pockets or
Mhm.
lymphedema and you have a nurse or a doctor do your blood pressure, oh my God, you just want to just slap them. It's so painful that you just really want them to stop pumping the pressure in your arm. That's how much painful it is. So, you just have to think about it. It's stagnant lymph. It's just there.
Yeah.
And you wish that you could just take some lotion or something and rub it out. But I'm sorry, it's not that easy. You cannot rub out fat pockets. In fact, it takes a while to get rid of it. And even some people who have that condition, they may opt into having surgery. And if you don't do the right thing, fat pockets come back, guys. Comes
Yeah.
back. The very thing that creates it is the very thing that brings it back.
And you
So
know what, Doc? And it's interesting that you said it because I deal with a lot of patients that deal with those swollen ankles. They call them elephant. What they call them? Elephant feet, elephant
elephant
legs.
elephant legs, yeah.
Yeah, which it has a lot of edema
Right.
fingerprint. You can actually put your fingerprint into that leg, and it
That-
shows you, and not realizing people don't realize how gravity pulls down. So
Yeah,
toxicity level, when you look at the animal, they say what is normally the darkest meat on the animal is what? The legs, right? So
that's
when
right.
people like chicken, they like the dark meat, which is what? The legs. So when you're
Yes.
looking at, like you said, that gravity and those the toxicity levels and that
Yeah,
fat tissues build up, they're not
yeah.
realizing that's what accumulated and starting the inflammation, as well as, like you said, the fat pockets. So
I'll tell you another story that was sad, but happy sad. And so we had a lady that was here for 21 days, and doing the detox allows you to get rid of fluid, just like Lasix pills, right? Or water,
mhm,
whatever. And when she came, she had a lot of edema on her legs, and clearly saw fat pockets on her thighs and her arms. And after 21 days, I will never forget the 17th day. We were all sitting at the dining room table at the retreat, and she ran upstairs and she ran back down, and then she ran upstairs and she ran back down, and we're like, what's wrong with her? Because we're waiting for her, right? So she ran back down for the third time and she just started crying. She says, do you realize what I just did? And we're just kind of like numb. Like, what? She says, I ran upstairs 3 times and I haven't done that in almost 15 years.
wow.
And she says, and I had to do it 3 times because I couldn't believe it. And so I said to her, in your legs when you first came, you had so much edema. In your thighs, you had so many fat pockets that has a weight. It
Mhm.
Imagine carrying those 5-pound bags of potatoes, but
Mm.
you lost 3 5-pound bag of potatoes in weight. Just imagine that. And that's why you were able to run up and run back down because the fluid and the fat was dissolved. And I'll never forget that story because we're like, something's wrong with this chick. Why does she keep doing that? And I had no idea that it was 15 years before that lady was able to go up a flight of steps. That's dangerous to carry
Yeah.
water and fat around an area in your body that is not needed.
I seen a guy that way. He was bedridden, and matter of fact, he was in stage 4 cancer, and he was like, his body had done filled up so bad. I mean, it was like his between his gut was so hard. His legs, his whole body was just so full of fluid. I mean, the formation of, I mean, you can literally lay your hand and your hand can get up, move your hand, and your handprint will still be there
So
in his
there,
leg.
that's
And I
stage
work with a
2 edema. Yeah.
Yeah, I work with a gentleman that had that, and they had me to come and do a service on him. They tried everything, reached out to me, and said, "Hey, look, we heard about what you do, and hopefully you can help him." And we made, thank God for opportunities that allowed me to help him. That he was able to,
Mhm.
for being in bed 4 or 5 months, to being able to get out of bed in 4 days
Wow.
because of, and then his whole body, after doing those things, his appetite build back up, his energy build back up. But people
Yeah.
not realizing that all that toxicity gives you so much pain, because after we did the first session, he
Yeah.
didn't even have the pain. He was able to sleep the first time throughout the night, you see. And so when you're looking at opportunities like that and explaining to people, like, it would mess up your sleep pattern. It would throw your sleep pattern because all so much fluid is floating around your lungs and your heart, and it's
Yeah.
keeping your heart palpitating. So when you're getting rid of that fluid in your body, it's a great thing. So thanks, Doc, for that, and allow us to talk about the testimonies and story, real life stories that we deal with people that
Yeah.
experience that, and to see somebody get out of bed that's been in bed for 4 or 5 months, in my case, of doing what I do, and then you help them out in 4 or 5 days,
Right.
four or
Yeah.
five months to 4 or 5 days. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, my God. I mean, to the point that it built up his upper strength. Start getting appetite. He even decided he wanted to walk.
Yeah.
And the doctor had already called him off to be dead.
That's
That's the
right.
crazy part,
Yeah.
and so yeah, so those things, when people don't understand that poison, how it attacks the bloodstream, how it attacks. So it's good, that's good, Doc, that you were able to explain what
Mm-hmm.
those fat pockets and what edema and all these things and how they can easily affect your mobility and emotions that you have on a day to day.
When someone says to you and they look clearly healthy and they show a picture of clinical health because they're not on a lot of drugs and they don't have high blood pressure and all of these things that we call the high fives, but they have one thing and is obesity. And you want to say to them, well, walk. And that sometimes is insensitive
Yeah.
because I had to find out that walking is
Mm,
painful for these
a
people.
game
They
changer.
can't walk. And what does a doctor tell you? Stop eating so much, exercise more. Clearly, they did not hear the patient's assessment when the patient said, I can't walk, my legs hurt. And the doctor says, well, your legs wouldn't hurt if you eat less and walk more, right? So, what we are trying to say to people is that trap stagnant lymph keeps those pockets there. And you systematically have to give them a way to walk. One of the things that I was saying to her, well, if you put on compression garments, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that will allow the pockets, the fat pockets, to be compressed. And then you give people a hydration formula. And that doesn't sound
Right.
sounds like it's medical, but literally hydration formula just basically means leafy greens and cucumbers and watermelons and lemon water, lime water, which basically means hydrate to the point where it allows you to flush, right? It's
Right.
what do you think they do when they give you Lasix, right? And you get that with and you could flush without Lasix. So a lot of people don't understand that. And then the other thing is that you put in the good water, which I just told you, and you add some other green leaves like cilantro and bitter leaves, spearmint and wintergreens and things like that, and dandelion leaves for your kidney, right? So when
Mm-hmm.
you're doing that, at the same time you're diuresing or you're urinating more, right? The other
Mm-hmm.
thing that people stop doing when they get these pockets because they're in so much inflammation and so much pain, they're not even breathing right, doc. I can look at somebody and see that they're not breathing. I says, come on,
Right.
take a
Right.
deep
Right.
breath. They forget how to breathe,
Yeah,
right?
literally.
Yes.
Literally.
So,
Literally. Literally. And so they're not even realizing, just like you just said, they're not even realizing that the breathing is what's also giving their bones and blood circulation. When you have poor circulation, they don't understand the poor circulation that comes from not breathing properly, not moving properly, you
mhm,
know, and not even laying properly, because people lay wrong too. You
yes.
see, so those are areas that we're addressing. Like you said, the common areas are basically your belly, arms, your thighs, your back, your knees and your feet. These are common areas that those pockets sit, because if you look at somebody's foot and the top of their toes, not realizing under that area your reflex are your lungs.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? So if your top of your foot is flared up and has this swelling
Mhm.
on it, it's because what? The lungs are not moving the fluids like they should. I mean, the heart is not pumping. So people don't think about the gravity of where all these things lie, where it sits, how it builds up in those areas, and how it just, you know, It's just crazy. So I'm glad we're able to talk about it, like
Yeah.
fat pockets, because people not realizing that it is actually a real detrimental thing to us if we don't address it in the proper way.
And if we don't address it, I think a lot of people think like some of our medical doctors think, oh, if you just move a little bit, run down the street every now and then, and walk fast and eat less, you'll get there. And it's not true. They'll get worse because
Hmm.
it never dawned on me that a blood pressure is so excruciating painful to somebody with fat pockets.
Yeah.
If you're not sensitive to that, you'll just think that person, you'll just say, oh, come on, it's
Yeah.
just blood pressure, right? But the inflammation that's there. And so so what happens with people that keep developing these fat pockets, right? So
Hmm.
I know when you have hormone insufficiencies or you have a out of control hormones, it starts in the what 40s and 50s now, where you'll start getting more of these hot pockets because you have a hormone imbalance, right?
Hmm.
Also around that age, what happens, your cortisol levels go up, right? Your stress hormone goes up. So that's another thing.
Don't forget the glands, doc. Don't forget the thymus glands because the
And the thymus
fluids.
gland, right, exactly. And you think that a lot of people know that they have low thyroid? Doctors today, you got to have like a really bad thyroid for them to give you thyroid pills. But there's so many people running around with hypothyroidism and they don't even know. So there's so many different things that causes fat pockets. Now, I'm sure people out there going, wow, I think that's me. Well, no, that's me too. And the other thing that causes fat pockets today, which we know, we talk about this a lot, Doc, toxicity.
Yeah.
The toxicity, it's not just toxic food. I know it's processed food, number one,
Mhm.
but what they've done to us with the plastics,
Ooh.
I studied plastic like 15 years ago when it first came out, people talking about plastic. I went, so, and then I started reading about the plastics, how they were finding plastics in the ocean. And it was just so much information that just I was just like sick thinking about it.
Yeah.
But and then we had to learn about the pesticides.
Yeah.
I mean, the list is huge. Over 1,000 toxins are dumped into our food supply every
Yeah.
year.
Every day.
If that number's large, I downplayed it a little bit because I could say 1,700. I don't know, but I just know that we have so many toxins to carry in our bodies, in our liver, and our kidney, and our pancreas, and our lymphatic systems, and our lungs say, I'm done. Can't do
But
it.
but doc, but the thing is, you got to remember now. You always hear me say when I'm talking to people, I have to introduce you from the inside out. You always hear me tell people that because why? People have never been introduced to themselves from what the inside out. So when I say that to them, they be like, "What does that mean?" I said, "Tell me where your stomach at." That's the first thing because everybody grabbed the midsection. I said, first, that's not even your stomach. I says, "Well, show me where your lungs at."
Mm.
Show me where your back at. Then I said, well, show me where that fork is at. They can show you where that at, right? But again, they can't identify the internal because they never was introduced to the internal. Because in a generation that we're in living, nobody never showed us. They talk about how we should dress. Hey, make sure these colors match. Who said the colors actually match? But people match them up anyway, right? But they never talked about, hey, what do my eyes really do? What is attached to my eyes for me to see? Oh, I wonder what's going on my ear. Are they just here to be plastered on? What purpose do they serve? I can hear, but what else goes on with it? Oh, my nose. What else is my nose good for? Nobody never talked about your nose is for breathing. That's why you go to a specialist, ear, nose, and throat. They don't talk about the connection of flowing.
Yeah,
Everything is if you cover here, but you forgot your ears are open. You see, so they never talked about the connecting pieces of your liver being a part of a detox. They never talk about your pancreas having a bile duct. You see what I'm saying? They never talk about these connections. So people, they think when you mention that, they swept and then you talking foreign language. But you
that's right.
just mentioned toxicity comes from starts within the liver, you know, that enters into the gut areas and it transform into mechanicalism, send it back through as a filter. So
Right.
it's a whole format.
Right. So, I just think, you're absolutely right. I think it's so much to the body that they don't know. And
No.
sometimes, first of all, you're not going to get a doctor that's going to say, let me introduce you to yourself, right?
Mm.
Let's start with the colon. And let's just say you sit down with your clients and patients and you say, your colon is 5 feet long. Their eyes go, are you kidding me? Yeah. And then you give them the job of what that colon does, right?
It
They're
messes up every time.
overwhelmed, right?
Hmm.
But the colon does so much work. And then you say, but I'm just reminding you this one thing. The colon is the trash can. Now you don't really mess them up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And your deaf line. And your deaf line.
and your deaf line, like, because you study the colon, you're a colon therapist, right? You're the best. So let's say you say colon, death starts in the colon is what you were taught, right?
Hmm. Yep.
You say that to your client, death starts in the colon.
Yep.
They give that look again. What does that mean? So now
Right.
give them an education of
Mm.
how that happens. And
Yeah.
it's a lot to go through when someone has the high five conditions.
Hmm.
I'll, that's why my telehealth program is 3 months. And honestly, 3 months is not enough.
That's just a jump
I
starter. That's
don't want to blow them away by saying six
yeah.
months, right? Because they're already thinking 3 months, doc. I'll get this in 3 weeks, and still in 3 months, they're still asking questions.
Still asking the basics too, and it's always the basics. It's the
Right,
basic question. That's what get me. It's like, wait a minute, we talked about that in the first week.
right,
What,
exactly.
what
This is
so
overwhelming information.
right. So that's why you have to do the 3 months because you got to go back over the first week in the second month and then go back over the first week, the second, in the third month. So you still got to always recap the first
Mhm.
month of everything we talked about in the second and third month before
That's
they
right.
get it, before we get to the fourth month, because they still haven't gotten it. So again, Doc, it is such always a pleasure for us to have these conversations. And I
Mhm.
don't take them for granted, even though we're in the same profession and more. You're a little way more than them. Hanging out with you is a great thing because we always learning and learning from each other from over the 20 plus years that we have known each other. So it's always a blessing. So now let's have a little fun. Little fun, little fun, little
I
fun.
thought we were already having fun.
We're having more fun because this is sizzling hot. Yay and nay time. Yay
Okay.
and nay time. We're gonna hit a little yay and nay, Doc. Okay, so here we go about the yay and nay. What about cool sculpture? Yay or nay?
I
Cool
like cool
sculpture.
sculpting. I like cool sculpting, but again, here it is. No matter what you do, is never going to be enough because it's always going to go back to that lifestyle. Hey, listen, it's going to go back to the lifestyle. So, is it a nice treatment to have? Yes. Is it a treatment that's going to help you? Yes. Is it a treatment that's going to keep you there? No.
So now, this is where we come on the difference because I see it as a nay. You see it as a yeah, and I see it as a nay. So that's an interesting conflict of love.
Mhm.
So, because my point is that I see in it, what you see in is that I see that anything is cool is a restriction for movement,
Yeah,
and it becomes a temporary. You see,
exactly.
so again, it's all about the teaching. That so the fun part about nay and yay is that we help them to understand both concepts.
You got
You
to
see,
understand the
of
concept.
both the
So,
concepts.
what people will hear is, oh, I can do it, but it ain't going to last.
Right.
You don't have to knock people down to the point where it's like everything's bad. No, I'm
Mm-mm.
telling you the truth.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get some people that are gonna go, well, if doc says it's not, it's a nay, that means I'm opting out. But you're gonna get the other person. Mary may say, I'm opting in because I just want to go to this wedding.
Right. 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 So you're looking at a temporary, and then you're looking at folks that understand the longevity.
That's right.
So that's how we brought it just now. There's a longevity of, and there's a temporary. So that's a good one. What
Yeah.
about waist trainers, Doc? Waist trainers. Oh, I'm going to tell you, I'm a nail on that one all day. You're suffocating your organs. You're struggling with your breathing. You're tightening up muscles that, oh, come on, doc. What is yours? Yay or nay? Come on, come on.
It's going to be the same thought, because here you go again, like we just talked about. Now I believe that it's temporary, because it is going to get a man there where he's trying to, strengthen, okay, especially sometimes with your back, right? But it's not a permanent situation. Just like I'm going to tell you, your garments, the compression garment is going to help your lymphedema, but is it a permanent situation, right?
Mhm.
So is it a nay and a yay? It's nay because it's not permanent, but it's a yay because sometimes people have to go there. Gotta go there sometimes. Otherwise, they'll get to the point where they'll just opt out of everything. Temporary is not always bad. Sometimes temporary gets you started.
Right. A jump start.
A jump
Jump
start.
start.
There
But
you
you
go.
get
Yes.
some people take a waist trainer like it's a corset and tighten it up to give them that A-line shape. And at the same time, they're not able to breathe. So now they're getting lightheaded and they're falling out and passing out
That's
because
crazy.
you're not allowing the muscle or the tissue to expand like you should when you're breathing because you're trying to be sexy.
That
That's a nay for me because it's how you wear it. The wrong way can jack you up in a longevity.
You're absolutely right. But you see, what's interesting is in our brains, in our minds, we're thinking, you and I are thinking about two different types of people. Yeah, you go get those crazies that are going to do that, right? But you're also going to get those intelligent guys that won't do that, that they're trying to do something different, right?
Yeah.
So you can't say, okay, it's nay for everybody. Again, it's a great start. And then you say,
Mhm.
I now know that I can't do it forever and I'm going to let go of it.
All right, I got another one for you. Another nay or yay. Now you're looking at the belly fat, right? Of supplements, fat burning supplements. A nay or yay. Fat burning supplements like gummies and all these things that people take. Yay or nay.
They don't work. Um, so that's a nay.
But you can't tell them they don't work
But
because
I think what happens is psychologically they may think it works, because you have to remember and see people who suppliers, people who supply these things know the human mind. They
yeah.
know that if you're doing that, you're doing other things too. That's the reason why you're losing the weight.
But the thing that now hold up, Doc, because now let
Mhm.
me tell you something. I've seen people only think that the product is only doing it. They don't have to do anything else with it, which we know that is not good because if you
Not
got
good.
digestive issues, I
Hmm.
don't care how much fat burning
That's right.
products you use, your
Right.
digestive system is not going to do what it needs to do, and you're going to be a bloated, bloat. That
Yeah,
means you'll be bloated, bloat.
and I think it's dangerous. Like
Yeah.
I, and I'll tell you a story about a woman who basically was downing, what do you call, the apple cider vinegar gummies.
Oh God.
I mean, she was like
Kidney
doing those
stones like crazy.
20 of them, like 20, 30 of them. And she didn't understand why after 2, 3 months she got this pain in her belly. Now, you already know, before I even say it, it was an ulcer, right? You already know. Okay. And at the same time, after 3 months, like, okay, well, how much weight did you lose? She says she lost 3 pounds. So I says, okay, so you're losing a pound a month and you're downing like 20 gummy bears in a day. So there's got to be something wrong with that. Why they think that these gummy bears is the reason why they're going to lose weight. So it ended up hurting her. Apple cider vinegar is nothing to fool around with, even if you're doing it straight. Nobody should ever do that much apple cider vinegar. So she thought it was an innocent thing, but I went to do some research, and guess what? On the bottle it says 3 gummy bears a day.
Of course, we know reading is
Right.
not fun for the mental. That's why it's
Right.
called. That's what said reading is fun for the mental because they don't think they're mental, so they ain't gonna read. So I mean, we just pop a pill. So
So anyway,
fundamental,
I
fundamental, fundamental,
I know
fundamental.
good. This is the gummy bears did taste good. Okay. I know that. But just because it's a supplement doesn't mean you don't have to be careful.
Any supplement you take.
Be careful with, you know? And so there you go. So it ended up causing an ulcer, but I think that's a lesson to be learned. So that's, these supplements you have to be very careful with. A lot of them are nay.
You're right. What about detox baths? What do you feel about detox baths, like the lymphatic massage and
I think a
nail
detox,
yay
I think a detox bath depends on what you're doing it for. It's not a miracle. It's just a bath, right?
and baths are for soaking.
Yeah.
Baths are for
You
hydration.
you could
And
do
don't sit there and try to wash and then soak in it.
right. You could do Epsom salt bath, you know.
That ain't working. That you don't wash in the tub.
Right.
Tubs are
It's
for
that
soaking. That's why they
call, a lot of people go, well, I think I'm just going to help myself by just doing a bath. Well, no, that's not how it works. It's like you can relax in a Epsom salt bath, but there's no miracle coming out of that.
that's what tubs are for soaking. That's why it was so
Okay. There you
if they
go.
ever look at what was the invention of tubs for, tubs were made for soaking purposes.
That's right.
Showers were made for bathing purposes.
Right.
Because if you look at the end of the day, if you're bathing in a tub, you're washing in a tub, what do
Yeah.
you think you're washing off is what? The dirt. And you're
That's,
still sitting in it. So now you're looking at what? You got open pores because remember your sweat glands are opening up because why?
that's right. Yeah. And you got to be careful. A lot of times people think that they can just throw all these things. I remember somebody got burned really bad because oil and water don't mix, right?
Yeah.
So they're in a bathtub and they go, wow, this is a great oil. And they had all these essential oils lined up on the side.
Mm, mm,
Oh, this
mm,
oil goes, and all of a
mm.
sudden they're throwing these oils in and the oil's not mixing with the water. So it's burning them. And they go,
And clogging the pipes. Don't forget that part. Roto Rooter, that's the name. That's who
what?
they're gonna have to call because they're gonna have to unplug the drain.
Yeah. I think they're beeping us that we've fun.
So you know what? That was the part of our name. Yeah, yeah. We just wanted to have fun again. More fun on top of the fun we're having, educating you
Yeah.
because of the importance of taking care of yourself is based on good education. So we're going to go into a little segment, all which we're going to talk about now health, in like inflammation, um, insulin resistance. Doc, what do you think about the inflammation with insulin resistance?
Well, it's a major cause actually of fat pockets. I don't know if you knew that. Just like hormone is. Insulin, by the way, is a hormone, and we, insulin resistance is real. So many people have insulin resistance, and it's a cause of fat pockets and many other things. It's a cause of, and we have to in this country understand that we were not created to eat processed foods the way we do, and grains out of people are doing it out of this world, and they believe that the grains and all of these, you could open up a bag of anything and you could just eat white rice and white potatoes and white bread as long as you have a little bit leads to insulin resistance if you don't compound it or increase your vegetables, especially your green vegetables and your protein. Like I always say the word pevi, and I hope and pray that I leave this legacy with pevi. Pevi, I did so much research on. It means anything that the body cannot live without is pevi. Like we
Mm.
can't live without protein, P, amino acids, essential amino acids. The word essential means you can't live without it. Now, here we go again. E, essential fatty acids. You can't live without it, right? And God put these vegetables on earth to cleanse the body.
So wait a
And
minute, Doc. So you telling me that everybody should be having of taking a fatty acid essential
uh-huh,
supplement?
right? and amino acids. You got to,
and amino acid.
right, and a
But
lot of
why? Well, first, okay, so you saying that, but
right
tell me why a
because
fatty acid amino is important to have as well as amino acids. Tell them
that's
why.
right. Protein. We can't live without protein. We are protein people. We are created from protein. Our entire body's protein. We are protein people. And our bodies, every organ in our body needs protein. Our heart, our lungs, everything. And essential fats. It's essential. It's essential fatty acids. It's the foundation of what helps build our cells. And it's never, we've never said anything that starch and carbohydrates are essential. But what does the American people eat? Non-essential stuff all day long. Okay? And there's no such thing as essential fruits. Do we need fruits? Do we like fruits? Yeah, as a dessert, but it's not essential that people should go out and eat these things all day, right? And our society, and my grandmother laughed. She goes, what is all these things in the bags and the wrappers, when she was afraid of Halloween? It was like it was insane to give our kids that stuff on Halloween.
That's real.
Literally would close the door and turn the shades down. She said it was so insane for us to do that, to show our kids that. Instead, what we should be showing them is how to go into the garden and pull these essential things out of the garden, because herbs is
Yeah,
what.
that's real. I look when the kids would come past mine, I would give them apples, fruits, oranges. It's
Yeah.
like this lady don't give us no candy. I said, I sure don't, baby. I sure don't give you no candy.
Mhm. There
I
you go.
give you fruits, essentials for your body.
Right. There's no
And
jelly beans here.
no jelly beans here. Yeah. So that's good to know that those things that you're referring to, why is ignoring fat pockets isn't about looks as opposed to it's about health.
Well, if we say it's stagnant lymph, right? Can you imagine? Your circulation is less, and when
Mm-hmm.
circulation is less, you have an out of balance hormone levels, and you have a sluggish thyroid, and you have a sluggish liver, an impacted colon. What do you think your heart's going to do one day?
Leave, say
Yeah,
bye-bye. Got to
yeah,
go. Got
right.
better places to be.
That's
Not
right.
here. You don't love me. You don't want me no more. Yeah. Things like that. The heart would definitely
Right.
say to you.
And so, with all of this stagnation in the fat pockets, you got, and I would say to someone, it's not that hard to get rid of, but it takes a long time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, one of the easiest things to do besides garment compression is dry brushing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the other thing that's super good to do is sauna baths. People don't give sauna baths the power that they should give a sauna bath. Infrared sauna is an amazing therapy.
That's one of my regimens. That's one of my regimens, doc. I do that. I do
Mhm.
the foot bath on place with the infrared sauna. Then I
That's,
put that foot bath on them to
that's
drain
right.
that stuff about them once it's done loosen up all that. And I mean that's a whole brand new action for them. They be like, "Whoa, what? I feel rejuvenated. I feel fresh." They've gotten the best night rest ever because why? Not only did I loosen it up, but I released it, got it able to take it out of the sweat glands of their body. So yeah, that detoxing is the key.
The easy things that you're saying, right? And like people need to listen between the words. Like I didn't say anything so difficult yet. Another
Mm-mm.
thing I'm thinking of, which I forgot to mention, rebounding. People stop rebounding. Do you know rebounding
Yeah.
is the easiest thing to do? It's not for kids. It's a rebounding. It's a pumping that lymph. You jumping
Mhm.
up, just pumping that lymph flow, allowing good circulation. And it's not about just squeezing the fat pockets out. It's improving your entire circulation.
You know,
And
we do that, we jump on the trampoline.
yeah,
The
trampoline.
trampoline is
That's right.
very good for the
Video.
circulation and lymphatic.
Mhm.
And they
And
got it for people that need to jump on a pole with a pole. They got the
yeah.
pole there you can attach to it. But you
Hmm.
got on that freestyle, like myself and my family, we freestyle, but you have that pole for folks that need help with that balance. But
That's
it's very good for also that circulation, that lymphatic drainage, and you know,
right. And do we know that? and I give this machine a lot of credit, Aussie machines.
Mm,
Those vibration
mm,
machines, there's
yes.
ways to help fat pockets.
Yep.
It's a fun way to help someone with
Mm,
fat pockets, right? So
mm-hmm.
not all bad. I think a lot of people. Oh, I want to mention one more thing before we close. Um, when I put this lady, the one I was telling you about, that was in a lot of pain with her fat pockets, one of the things that I realized that she wasn't doing, it's a lot of it originated from the gut. And that's why I wanted to mention to tell you this. She wasn't digesting her food correctly
Mm-hmm.
and probably wasn't digesting it at all. And so I added two enzymes every time she ate. Not only did she lose the fluid almost in 21 days, way more than 21 pounds, but she was able to digest her food better.
Mm-hmm.
And pain was, I would say, reduced almost 90%. And she called me and said, I'm now able to get my blood pressure taken on my arm. Because that part made me cry because I felt like, oh my goodness.
Well, doc, you know why? Because if they're not digesting properly, their body's not absorbing properly, they're not going to what eliminate properly.
Right.
So if you're not doing any of those just imagine if you were doing these things the right way in your body. Just imagine. They spoke about that in Bible study today about the imagination. How do you imagine your imagination when it come down for your well-being? And I said today, I said, so after he'd given that conversation, I said, how many you can imagine and vision yourself without being on blood pressure? How many you can imagine and seeing yourself not being a diabetic or being a cancer patient or recovering and retreat? Can you see yourself imagine you
Right.
already in a healing place? But people don't even understand with the imagination. If you can see it, that's what God said, we lack the vision and we lack the knowledge. But if you got the knowledge and can have the vision and can see yourself in a place of healing, there's no reason for them to be going through the sadness of depression, because depression would tell you what? Down. So good segment, Doc. Good
Yeah,
segment.
really good segment. And that
Good
and all of
segment
it leads to, we all need to detox. We should never stop detoxing.
at all. Long
I
as you're on this earth, you should always, because why? We have environmental toxicity. Environmental toxicity is just as worse than anything else. So if your
oh,
environment is not right, you better
mhm.
detox. And people think it's like, oh, and then what give me when they try to do the little fast, the once a year thing they call, a certain type of fast that everybody want to go do, but they don't realize if you're not doing that the right way, you can cause more harm than good. You see, my association, we're gonna do the Daniel fast, we're gonna do this, but if you're not doing it correctly, you're doing what? You still need to detox the proper way. You just rotating your food in a different pocket. It's just
Yes.
sitting in another fat pocket on the left side, in which because I moved from the right side, but you're not doing anything but adding more fat to the process. So again, Doc, targeted movement. What do you think about target movements?
Tell
Like
you,
yoga, walking, like you talk about earlier. What do you think about those?
when you say target a movement,
Yeah.
explain what that means. Target a movement.
So that's like physical, like it been people have physical movement. I tell my seniors when I talk to them, I said there's the difference between exercise and physical activities. Physical activities, long as you're moving, you're targeting, you can sweep your floor. That's a form of movement. You can make your bed. That's a form of movement. All these things help with circulation and things like that.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
people go to the gym, that's
Mhm.
exercising because they're doing
Yeah.
a serious regimen.
Well,
But
you
for
need both,
you need both. But you
and,
need the
and
physical. Not
you need
for those
both.
that don't understand
Yeah.
what exercise. You don't exercise is based on a regimen, a everyday regimen that you do, but a physical movement, meaning, like I said, making your bed up, sweeping your floor,
Right.
wiping,
Right.
dusting, washing dishes.
And the thing about exercise is that you're increasing oxygenation at a very powerful level. So it's two different modalities, two different types of therapies. You need both.
But people do not exercise correctly, even
Right.
though they think they're doing it right. You got people that actually exercise 7 days a week. Well, one of them days you need to rest. So people don't even realize. They say, "Oh, my friend, he was healthy. He did all that health stuff that you talk about. He ate healthy, and he still had a heart attack. He walked and ran every day." I said, "Well, when did he rest?"
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to figure out if he did all every day.
Well, that's a whole nother subject I want to talk about one day is why and when exercise doesn't work. And
That's a
we
good
also
one.
talk,
Yeah,
and we also need to talk about why we have exercise um, people addiction.
yeah, that's real too. And
Yeah.
they still bloated and
Right.
eat everything.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one. So let's talk about differently. Talk about the mind body connection, like roles of stress. The cortisone is creating and keeping fat pockets. Mental wellness practice that help releases stored fat. So let's address those two things right there.
So basically, I'm going to address one thing, then I have to go. Cortisol levels is very dangerous. And, when I do a lot of blood work, I always make sure I look at the cortisol levels. Cortisol is a hormone that when people get to be at a certain age, they always have more stress. You got more kids, you got grandkids, you got your job is increasing and the environment, you know too much and your hormones are out of whack. And I could just write a book on why someone's cortisol levels increase. And cortisol allows people, the high cortisol allows people to not breathe correctly. And we talked about that earlier. And I always try to get people to understand that when you have a high cortisol or high adrenaline or high epinephrine, all of these things create what's called high insulin. And it's just a circle of bad stuff happening. And between that, it causes an imbalance in your hormones. There's another cycle. And it goes on and on and on, eventually to the point where it affects your entire metabolic system and why we create what's called metabolic syndrome. So, with all of those things, we have to put people on a program for metabolism and good, heavy foods. And it goes back, it's always going to go back to that, doc, mind, body, and spirit. Your
Hmm.
body cannot heal if your mind is not in sync with that healing. And all those people out there with high cortisol, high epinephrine, high adrenaline levels, and you can't sleep at night and all the things going on, it's hard to create a healthy body.
Yeah. And you know what, Doc? I was just about to say to you to share that 1 minute um daily tweak on reducing fat pockets, but you just really covered it. You actually basically just covered when you said those things just now. So if there's anything you want to add to that 1 minute of doing that, please do so. And that short summary of what you just, what we just covered.
If I had to sum up everything, detox, cleanse your blood, guys. Everything is going to start with a blood cleanse. And
Yep.
how to do that? You got to do a detox. And you got to do a detox correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Not all detoxes are created equally.
Mm-mm.
And now, we're not only just detoxing for weight, we detox all of the high fives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And those high fives leads to other 20 chronic illnesses, which means we have a detox for those too.
And that is it. And that is real.
This was
So
so
again,
fun, guys. I literally have another call, but definitely, I think that the next time we gotta hit on that subject of why is it that so many people allow the brain to become foggy, forgetful, depressed, and apathy. We have so much apathy in our life.
good talk. Good talk. Dr.
Mhm.
Ronnie, for all way from way back on the yonder of Martha's Vineyard, we really appreciate you on the other side of that water, coming on our side over here on this lovely red hot sizzling topic conversation like what is fat pockets. And so, but guess what, the recap is this: your girl Monday with a day off fun come by way of what, just just not been understanding what this body does. It's a good way to hang out with us so you can learn more about what your body is all about. So we appreciate the audience that comes in. Hey, look, we do me a favor. Follow us on the social media. Dr. Ronnie is on, we on TikTok, we on Substack, and we YouTube channels. Follow us on these channels because I'm gonna say red hot topics with Dr. Ronnie. Y'all, come on, y'all got to keep following us because hey, we enjoy what we do, we love what we do, and we love making you all not only feel
Hey,
good but also heal
oh,
well. Would you say, Doc?
and we got to make everybody laugh with our red. What happened to our
And you got to laugh with the red hot topic because that's what Dr. Ronnie and Dr. Romunda here to do is bring this life of wellness to you by laughter because laughter is healing. And guess what? Peace, y'all. Y'all have a blessed and awesome night. And we appreciate every last one. And our folks that help us behind the back. You know who they are. Do I need to name them? Yeah, they already know. Love them all. Peace and blessings, everybody.
Love you, Doc. Good
You
night.
as well, Doc.